Okay, so let's talk about something I think we've all felt. That memory of sitting in a classroom trying to learn a new language. You've got the boring textbook, the endless lists of words to memorize, and this feeling that, you're just not getting it.
I mean, really, have you ever spent years studying a language only to realize you can barely put a simple sentence together? If you're sitting there nodding, trust me, you are not alone. But what if I told you the problem isn't you? What if it's the method you were taught?
So, to really understand what works, we first have to see what doesn't. And there's no better way to do that than with a classic story of language learning frustration.
So check this out. This timeline probably looks painfully familiar to some of you. This is based on the experience of Victoria Obiagali. She starts French in 4th grade. 3 whole years later, she can't even have a simple chat. Then, in high school, she tries German for 2 years. The result? Pretty much zero. It's a whole lot of effort for, well, nothing.
And this right here, this is the culprit. We're going to call it the school method. It treats learning a language like it's just another subject, like math or history, something you just memorize and get tested on. There's no fun, no real motivation, just this endless grind of grammar rules and boring exercises. It's a system built for grades, not for actually talking to people.
So after all that failure, you'd think she would just give up on languages for good, right? But instead, something totally different happened. A new kind of motivation appeared, and it sparked a completely different approach.
And this is where the story completely flips. At 12, Victoria starts learning Korean all on her own, just because she loved the music. 2.5 years later, she's fluent enough to go study in South Korea. Then, she decides to take on Mandarin. In just a year and a half, she's having full-on conversations. I mean, the difference in progress is just staggering. It's night and day.
So what was the big secret? A better teacher? A really expensive program? No. In fact, it was the exact opposite. The secret to her success was that she had no teacher, no textbook, and no forced memorization. So, what was she doing instead?
This brings us to the absolute core idea, the secret sauce that unlocks this whole thing. It's all about the difference between consciously learning a language and unconsciously acquiring it.
See, studying is what we do in school. It's work. It's you actively trying to force your brain to remember all these abstract rules. But acquiring, well, that's what you did as a toddler. It's this unconscious process where your brain, which is this amazing pattern recognition machine, just naturally soaks up the language by understanding what's being said around you. It feels effortless because you're finally working with your brain's natural talent, not against it.
I mean, this quote just nails it perfectly. Think about your first language. Do you remember learning it? Of course not. It just feels like it appeared in your head one day. You didn't study grammar charts in your crib. You just acquired it. And that's the feeling we're aiming for.
And the engine that makes this whole acquisition thing run is something called Comprehensible Input. This is the magic ingredient. Once you get the absolute basics down, this is all you need. It's just listening to or reading stuff where you understand, say, 95% of it, but there are a few new things in there that challenge you just enough for your brain to pick them up without even trying. So, watching a kid's show in Spanish? Great comprehensible input. Trying to watch a university lecture on quantum physics in Spanish? Yeah, not so much.
Okay, so that's the big idea. It sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Let's break this down into a super simple plan you can literally start using today.
Here we go. Step 1, you do need to do a little bit of active learning at the very beginning. Hop on YouTube, learn some basic greetings, essential words, how the pronunciation works. But, and this is key, you move on from this fast. Then, step 2, find your fun input. Step 3 is the easiest part. Just listen and let your brain do its thing. And finally, step 4, you start using it, even if it's just talking to yourself or thinking in that language.
And finding that fun input, this is the best part. This isn't about forcing yourself to read boring articles. It's about doing the stuff you already do for fun. Watch Netflix, scroll TikTok, listen to your favorite music, but just do it in the language you want to learn. You're basically tricking your brain into learning while you're just relaxing. It's genius.
Now, here's a little pro tip. As you're listening, you'll find that words don't always have a perfect direct translation. The real meaning, the nuance, is all in the context. So you have to learn to trust how native speakers actually use a word more than what some dictionary tells you. That's how you start to sound natural, not like a textbook.
So, why are we even talking about this? Why bother? Because learning a language isn't just some academic skill to put on a resume. It is a key that unlocks a whole new universe of human experiences.
And what's so amazing about this whole method is how incredibly accessible it is. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on some fancy course. All it really boils down to is two things. You need some motivation to get started, and you need an internet connection. That's it.
And the payoff is just huge. You get to connect with people on a totally different level. You get to explore new cultures from the inside out. You get to see that look of gratitude in someone's eyes when you make the effort to speak their language, making them feel comfortable and seen. For Victoria, it meant studying abroad and making friends for life. These are the kinds of incredible experiences that so many of us miss out on just because we think language learning has to be hard.
So now you know. You know there's another way. A way that's actually fun, that feels effortless, and that really, truly works. So the only question left to ask is, what new world will you unlock first?